Hello everyone. So to start off today, I'm going to take a really quick survey. All you have to do is raise your hand if you're currently employed. Okay, so most of you. Well, today I'm going to talk about a skill that every single one of you will use or will have to use one day. I'm talking about getting a job. Getting a job is one of the most important things that we will ever do. Think about it. We go to school, spend tons of money on tuition, study all the time so we can stay on top of our grades, and then when you finally get that diploma in your hands, you breathe a sigh of relief. But little do you know that this is only the beginning to the real work. Because unfortunately, when it comes time to get a job, they don't just hand them out. That is why today I'm going to teach you how to survive a job interview. The things that I'm going to talk about today will help you whether you are interviewing for a corporate job or your first time job, say at a local grocery store. There are 3 steps that I'm going to cover. I found that these steps appeared on most of the sites in my research. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about preparedness. Preparedness is what you should do before the interview even starts. This can really make a big difference on your confidence going into the interview. According to the Career Center, they say that learning things such as what task you will be asked to perform, what the company's policies are, and where the company is based out of can really help. Also, if this is your first time job, then it really couldn't hurt to know exactly what you'll be asked to do. Most companies will ask you what you like about their specific company or why exactly you chose this certain job or career path, which that brings me to my next step in our survival guide. Practice makes perfect. We've all heard that saying plenty of times before. It can even be applied to something like getting ready for an interview. This step kind of goes hand in hand with getting prepared, but we're just going to go a little deeper into things. When you think of an interview, one of the first things that probably pops into your head is the interviewer drilling you with questions. Then you probably start to worry that you won't know the right thing to say, or you'll end up stuttering or saying something stupid. That is where this step can come in. Tons and tons of people get interviewed, and many of them are asked along the same lines of questions. Looking over a list to see what some of the most commonly asked ones are can help you get rid of those initial jitters. To give you a few of the most commonly asked interview questions, I went to helpingguide.org to look at the research they did on the subject. On this site, they had a list of some commonly asked questions such as, what are your goals for this department? What style of communication do you prefer? And what you liked best about working at your previous job? And what are some skills that make you qualified for this job? These are just a few examples of what could be asked. And gazing over these and thinking about them before the interview can really help you build confidence in your answers. So now that you've prepared for the interview, and it's finally time to get in there and start the actual questioning phase of this process, what should you do? First of all, it's pretty much a no-brainer, and that is to dress appropriately. Wearing something that is comfortable can help you not be so fidgety when you actually sit down in front of a panel or a potential boss. Also, it's pretty safe to say that you should always shake the interviewer's hand. But the next thing to think about is how you're going to talk about yourself or how you're going to sell yourself. And this can be a hard thing to do when you're not used to bragging about yourself all the time. But according to the Helping Guide, it's not always in your best interest to completely make up qualities or come up with ones that don't really pertain to the job skills required. Instead, they give you a little preview of the things that you should focus on mentioning in the interview. They suggest talking about things like failures that you faced in your previous job and how you overcame them, how you recovered from a crisis in your life, and a time in your previous job when you were asked to deal with stress and how you managed it. These are the sort of things that many different types of future employers would like to see. So now that we've covered getting prepared, how to look, how to act, and how to sell yourself, the last, most exciting, and nerve-wracking part is here. And that is whether you get the job or you don't. And most people probably think that if you don't get the job, then that's the end of that. But truthfully, if you want to be really professional about it, then you should do a follow-up phone call or a thank you letter. And I know you may be thinking, a thank you letter, really? But just hear me out. On CNN.com, authors of the article, 10 Things to Do After a Job Interview, came up with a list of things that would be most appropriate to do after not receiving a job. I'm just going to cover a few of them, the ones that I feel are not usually talked about very often. The list starts out by saying that you should always still show interest in a job. And this makes total sense because if there's any chance that another position will open up, then the interviewer will remember you and hopefully give you a call. Next, the authors talk about sending each interviewer a personalized follow-up letter. I'd never really thought of anyone doing this, but after reading the explanation they gave, I think it's an incredible idea. The authors say that when writing a follow-up letter, you can put things in the letter that maybe you forgot to mention in the actual interview. This would be great for someone who got really nervous in the interview and didn't get the chance to really show themselves off. In this letter, you could express in more detail your skills and what makes you so qualified for the job. Finally, the last step I'm going to cover is something that I think people might find kind of hard to do, and that is accepting rejection with grace. After you did all the right things, you practiced the questions, you dressed to impress, sold yourself to the best of your ability, and they still didn't give you the job, this can be a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. But the authors of this article really stress that it's always important not to burn any bridges. Taking rejection with grace is always the best way to go. So after learning about all the things that you can do to survive an interview, I hope that all of you can take away that no matter what the job or the level of experience it takes to get a certain job, that these steps can really be applied no matter what. Getting a job is becoming harder and harder to do, and especially keeping a job is becoming just as hard. So having the knowledge and the tools to be prepared no matter what happens truly is a good thing. And I hope that the next time any one of you go in for an interview, that you can keep these steps in mind and it'll help guide you in the right direction. And thank you, and I'll take any questions any of you have.